Alright, Broncos country, what's going on? It's A&J when we're back with yet another Broncos talk. What else is new? But, uh, if you caught the last video that I just put up, the video involving the Diggs brothers, yeah, I got some interesting stuff for y'all regarding that. But nonetheless, I do want to talk about the information or the news that actually broke and the information we got yesterday. And I'm actually it's funny, I talked a little bit about this in my video from yesterday. In fact, the actual official news about this broke roughly an hour or so after I uploaded said video. But anyway, we're going to talk about Mr. Justin Herbert again. Yeah, turns out they actually did confirm he is going to be sitting this Sunday out against the Broncos. So we're going to be getting Trey Lance. Not going to be mad at that one, and I really feel like it's going to be a pretty good opportunity because if nothing else, Trey Lance is actually going to have himself a shot to put some film out there for a lot of QB needy teams out there. And believe me when I tell you, and I don't think I need to remind anybody about this, there are plenty of them that are out there. But that's really aside from the point. The fact of the matter is that really and truly, you just have to imagine Harbaugh is going to try to coach Trey up to the best of his ability. And realistically, Harbaugh is actually undefeated against the Broncos still. And he does have that still going for him coming into this Sunday. But at the same time, it's only going to mean so much because I'm inclined to believe it's not just Justin Herbert that is going to be sitting this Sunday. I'm going to be inclined to believe Amarian Hampton is going to be sitting. He's dealt with some significant injury issues. I'm thinking Quentin Johnston has been in and out of the lineup, so a good chance he sits. You'll probably see guys like Khalil Mack and even Derwin James, who have been banged up here and there, sitting this weekend as well. So we'll be going against the B team, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be that much less formidable. I don't think that's the way I wanted to word that. But they're not going to be that much of a lesser problem, I think, is the way I want to make that make sense. Either way, we still got to take them seriously regardless. They're going to come in with a lot to prove, and I mean, they're in a situation where even though they're still in the playoffs, they could very much be the spoiler for the Broncos in terms of the number one seed. And that could very easily be a thing to where we get a worst case scenario where the Broncos come in the number 3 seed and we don't get the rest of the dudes that we were hoping to rest. But really and truly, this is an opportunity for the Broncos to prove a point that the defense is still one of, if not the best defense in the league. And to me, I just feel as if, just given the way things have happened recently, there's a good chance that Trey Lance has himself a highlight or two just because, but hopefully it's limited to just that. Now, that being said, one suggestion I like to make amongst so many others, or at least one in particular that I know I've been making, is of course the bringing back of a Justin Simmons. We'll definitely be getting to that in this video. But of course, I'm sure all of you are aware of the breaking news. Trayvon Diggs is no longer a Dallas Cowboy. Now, let's be real about this. Even though, should Diggs actually clear waivers, which I think there's a pretty good chance he does, he's going to be a free agent, and whoever picks him up is only going to be on the hook for $472,000. Now, I know that we're still working through the lighter part of the dead cap from Russell Wilson, but I'd like to think they may have left a little room somewhere for something like this to work out. And here's why I think it's a good idea. Obviously, he's been dealing with his fair share of injuries as well. I don't think that's any secret. But He's still talented enough to where you can bring him in, and he'll give you some necessary depth in the secondary, which we're already good with that. But I'll go into the reason why I think this is a good idea more than anything else. But you're not going to need to give him an awful lot of snaps. You've already got Jaquan McMillan. Obviously, you got Chris Abrams-Drain. And then, of course, Riley Moss. I don't know why I was about to call him Riley Dixon. Where the hell did that come from? Either way, Riley Moss, regardless of the penalties and certain mishaps that have been coming along, mishaps that have come along in recent games, he's still actually playing pretty well, all things considered. And I mean, for the worst of it to have been what happened in the Jacksonville game, which that's all a lot of missed tackles, which don't just fall on Riley Moss, it's pretty much everyone on the defense. And that was a little bit evident on Christmas night as well. But to me, you bring Diggs in, you don't have to use him a whole lot. You can bring him in for snaps. He can definitely come in and spell Jaquan when you need to give him a breather. And maybe to some degree he helps Riley in a lot of the areas that he's been having issues with. He's got the talent to be able to do that. Now, I'm not saying this is something that necessarily happens, but it's something that I feel like should at least be explored and considered. Now, there's something to be said for trusting the coach's instincts, particularly Vance Joseph, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to steer us wrong. He's actually done pretty well ever since the 70-point issue with the Miami Dolphins, but I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't take this into consideration. And if for no other reason, it opens things up for what we can do with Jahdae Barron. Of course, he was brought in to be a slot corner, much like what we could do with Trayvon Diggs, but he also has experience playing safety as well. So, if in the scenario that the Broncos do find interest in the potential of bringing in someone the likes of a Trayvon Diggs, why not take the opportunity to have Jahdae move into the free safety spot? Because I'm going to be real, I don't feel as if, even though the Chiefs were held to a really what has to be considered a gifted touchdown, resulting from that Bo Nix interception in the first quarter of that Christmas Day game, they really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, Oladokun only threw for 66 yards. And granted, that does work favorably for a PJ Locke. That doesn't mean that I feel like he's the guy. In fact, I'm still not letting up on the campaign to bring back Justin Simmons. I told you we were going to be talking about him in this video. Even if neither of those two things, hell, even if the Trayvon Diggs scenario, which I don't necessarily see happening, but if that were to be the case, that's why it's a good idea. This is why it's a good idea. Because I'm willing to trust Jahdae as a center fielder a little bit more than I am PJ Locke right now. And I'm not going to lie, this is why I really would like for them to just bring back Justin Simmons. Again, I understand trusting the coach's instincts on this. But at the same time, just because things worked out against the Chiefs, that's not exactly a ringing endorsement. Especially because it wasn't even really the Chiefs, who not only already lost Mahomes and a couple of other offensive linemen, but they had lost Gardner Minshew, which led to them going to the third string. I mean, I don't know what else I can say about this at this point, but either way, I guess that's where I'll just leave it at that and leave it up to y'all. What do y'all think? Do y'all agree with me on these crazy-ass ideas or that particular crazy-ass idea? I mean, I really don't think it's all that crazy. But who knows? Anything's possible. Either way, let me know what y'all think down below. Y'all know what it is. If y'all enjoy the content, like, share, subscribe, and of course, this has been your time with A and J, and I appreciate you spending it with me.